I'd Never Known presents Native American leaders and activists in honor of Native American Heritage Month. James Lawrence MacDonald was born in 1801, the son of an Anglo trader and a Choctaw mother educated first in mission schools by Quakers. MacDonald came to the attention of Thomas L. McKinney in 1818. McKinney was then in charge of the Office of Indian Trade, the forerunner of the Bureau of Indian Affairs in Washington, D.C., and he recalled that there were qualities of both heart and head in this youth of rare excellence. He hired MacDonald as a clerk and later encouraged him to become a lawyer. In 1821, McKinney arranged for MacDonald to clerk with Congressman John McLean in his Ohio law office. Such was his capacity, McKinney wrote, that in about one half the time ordinarily occupied by the most talented young men of our race, he had gone the rounds of his studies and was qualified for the bar. James was the first native leader of his generation to be trained in the American legal system. Thus, he is known as the first Native American lawyer. He was also the first Native activist to make the case for Indian rights directly to American political leaders and to negotiate for those rights in a formal agreement. MacDonald's work as a lawyer and political activist paved a new path in which future Native American leaders were able to defend the rights of their territory using the American legal system. His career marked the birth of a new approach to federal power and, by extension, the beginning of political activism that was to inspire tribal leaders across the continent. Sarah Hopkins Winnemucca, born 1844 and died October 17, 1891, was a Northern Paiute writer, activist, lecturer, teacher, and school organizer. Her Northern Paiute name was Fokmentokni, which translates as shell flower. Sarah was born near Humboldt Lake, Nevada, into an influential Northern Paiute family who led their community in pursuing friendly relations with the arriving groups of Anglo American settlers. She was the daughter of Chief Winnemucca of the Paiute Nation and the granddaughter of Chief Truckee. At 16, Sarah studied at a Catholic school in San Jose, California. When the Paiute War erupted between the Pyramid Lake Paiute and the settlers, including some who were friends of the Winnemucca family, Sarah and some of her family traveled to San Francisco and Virginia City to escape the fighting. They made a living performing on stage as a Paiute royal family. In 1865, while the Winnemucca family was away, their band was attacked by the U.S. cavalry, who killed 29 Paiutes, including Sarah's mother and several members of her extended family. At the age of 27, Sarah began working in the Bureau of Indian Affairs at Fort McDermott in 1871 as an interpreter. Subsequently, Winnemucca became an advocate for the rights of Native Americans, traveling across the U.S. to tell Anglo Americans about the plight of her people. When the Paiute were interned in a concentration camp at Yakima, Washington, after the Bannock War, she traveled to Washington, D.C. to lobby Congress and the executive branch for their release. She also served U.S. forces as a messenger, interpreter, and guide, and as a teacher for imprisoned Native Americans. Sarah was fluent in multiple languages, including English, Spanish, and Paiute, while serving as an interpreter for the U.S. government, a role she used to bridge communication and advocate for fair treatment. In 1883, she published Life Among the Paiutes, Their Wrongs and Claims, which is considered the first book written by a Native American woman. The book detailed Paiute culture and history while critiquing the injustices her people faced. She founded the Peabody Institute, a school in Nevada for Native American children where they were taught in both their native language and in English. She also worked as a scout and messenger during the Bannock War. She rode 233 miles to warn her family and others of an impending attack during the war. Sarah is honored with a statue in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda as a representative of Nevada, and her work continues to be studied today. William Potter Ross, born August 28, 1820, died July 20, 1891, also known as Will Ross, was the principal chief of the Cherokee Nation from 1866 through 1867 and 1872 and 1875. Born to a Scottish father and a mixed blood Cherokee sister of future chief John Ross, he was raised in a bilingual home. Ross attended English speaking schools and Princeton University, where he graduated first in his class in 1844. Ross was the son of John Golden Ross, who was born in Scotland December 23rd, 1787. Little more is known of his parents except that they immigrated to North America with Will and his sister while the children were very young. The father was swept overboard during a violent storm, and his mother died before the ship reached land. The ship's captain gave the children to a couple in Baltimore who gave them a home. The sister died shortly. But young John grew up in Baltimore, where he attended school and became a cabinet maker. John Golden Ross left Baltimore, possibly about the time of the War of 1812, and went to Tennessee by himself. He enlisted in the Tennessee militia and fought in the Creek War under Andrew Jackson. He returned to Tennessee, where he married Eliza Ross. Eliza was part Cherokee and a sister of John Ross, who would be principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. Eliza had been born near Lookout Mountain on March 25th, 1789, and he and Eliza settled near Lookout Mountain, where they welcomed their first child, Will, on August 20th, 1820. Ross served in several different roles in the Cherokee Nation. By then, his uncle had been elected as principal chief. Ross became clerk of the Cherokee Senate in 1843. He became the founder and editor of the Cherokee Advocate. Later, he was appointed director of the Cherokee Male and Female Seminaries, then served as treasurer of the Cherokee Nation. Ross was chosen to lead the nation of the National Council on October 19th, 1866, and served for several months until the election in 1867. He was later elected to succeed Lewis Downing and served from 1872 to 1875. After his term ended, Ross retired to Fort Gibson, where he became a merchant and practiced law. Ross was the first editor of the Cherokee Advocate, the first newspaper published in Indian Territory. After his time in office, he continued as a journalist and editor of other papers like the Indian Journal. He was also a lawyer, merchant, and senator. He attended schools in New Jersey and graduated from Princeton University, of course, in 1844. Ross is remembered as a statesman and orator who helped lead the Cherokee Nation through a difficult period of Reconstruction and fought to protect tribal autonomy. There's a Navajo proverb which says, "Walk tall as the trees, live strong as the mountains, be gentle as the spring wind." Chief White Eagle's advice to wait for clarity before acting with courage. All three exhibited and endured great strength, fortitude, and courage. All are American heroes to whom we give thanks and have carried us upon their shoulders.